Hey guys, it's Marla Evans with Realality.com. I wanted to show you today what I've been working on over the weekend, putting up food I found on sale to use over the winter. The day or two after Thanksgiving, I found sweet potatoes for 25 cents a pound, and I stocked up. I think I got about 20 pounds of sweet potatoes. I got 3 bags about this size. So far I've gotten 2 done, and I've ended up with this using my dehydrator. So I'm going to show you how I put all this together. First thing I did was, of course, wash and peel my sweet potatoes. I then wanted to shred them. I thought they would cook faster and dry faster that way. So I put them in my handy-dandy food processor. Well, I've heard about how hard sweet potatoes are. I have encountered how hard sweet potatoes are trying to use a mandolin slicer to make sweet potato fries. Very difficult. I thought, well, what the heck, it's a food processor, that's good and strong, the blade's spinning really fast, shouldn't be any problem, right? Wrong. I was feeding them through my handy-dandy wide mouth food processor, and you see this little black thing right here? Yeah, that's supposed to be in the middle of my blade. That's what holds it to the spindle in the food processor. Yeah, it's now hermetically sealed, fused, permanently melded to the top of my food processor, rendering it useless. So then I tried my KitchenAid stand mixer. I have the shredder slicer attachment for my mixer. Was doing pretty good. Had some issues with that too. Almost broke it. Thankfully I stopped it in time. I think it's going to be okay. But still, learned a good lesson. Don't shred raw sweet potatoes unless you have a really good machine, which I hope to get on Tuesday. I'm expecting Amazon to deliver it. I was planning this year for my Christmas present, my husband was going to get me a new smartphone. I want the Galaxy Note 2 because it's just too cool. But blew up my food processor, so got a new one. And I got to thinking, you know, that's probably not a bad thing. I could spend, that phone right now is $300 for a toy. Oh my gosh. And all that phone is going to do is encourage me to sit around, surf Facebook, find more recipes, you know, surf the web, find more recipes, and then just sit around and play. Or I could spend that $300 on a new food processor. Yeah, crazy expensive, but you know, cell phones, they only last you a year, maybe 2, then you got to upgrade them. This puppy darn well better last a whole lot longer than that. So when it comes in on Tuesday, I'll do another video. Excited. So anyway, how I processed my sweet potatoes. Like I said, I peeled them, I shredded them, I destroyed a food processor in the process. Probably next time, if I didn't have a high-powered food processor like coming in on Tuesday, I would probably slice the sweet potatoes first, boil them, then shred them. I think would probably have been the better way to do this. So anyway, once I got them shredded, I blanched them. You put them in boiling water for a minute or 2, pull them out, dunk them in ice water to stop the cooking. That will help prevent it from browning as it dries, that kind of thing. So I cooked them, and then I put them in my dehydrator. The dehydrator I have is the Nesco American Harvester. I think the model is FD80. I got it on Amazon for about $60. The price, of course, fluctuates, but that's about what I paid for it. It came with 4 trays. So 1, 2, 3, 4 trays up here. After using it a couple of times, I found I put so much in it, I went ahead and bought 4 more trays, which I think is the maximum that this one can take, is the 8 trays, and I keep this puppy full all the time. I like it because it does have a thermostat on the top so you can control the internal temperature. It also has a fan and the heating element on the top of the unit rather than on the bottom. That way you don't have to worry about stuff dripping down into the unit. So anyway, this is what I came up with. I ended up with 8 trays of cooked and shredded sweet potatoes. I then stuck them in the dehydrator. Since they were pretty wet when I put them in here, I started it at, I think, about 145 degrees. I don't normally dehydrate that high. I like to preserve as much of the nutrients as I can, and so the lower temperatures help do that, but these were already cooked. Plus, they were very, very wet. So using it at that high a temperature, as the water evaporates, that's going to cool the food, and the actual food temperature will stay lower than the set temperature. So I dehydrated them about 145 for a couple of hours, and every once in a while I come in and I'd fluff a little bit just to make sure they weren't, getting too thick, or just to help them dry a little better. And then I turned it down to about 130, 135 and just left them overnight. And then this morning, this is what I ended up with. Is that crazy? The difference between the two, how much they shrank up. But this is what I ended up with, 8 trays of dried sweet potatoes. And so what I got, like I said, I started off with 2 bags this size. This is going to get processed when the new food processor gets in. This is what I ended up with, 2 quart jars that I'm going to set aside. Actually, what I plan on doing with these, when I get that new food processor in next week, I'm going to put them in the food processor and whirl them around to powder them. Then I can put them back in my jars, and I have instant mashed sweet potatoes. I could leave them like they are now and have more like hash browns. I could have sliced them and put them in the dehydrator and then rehydrate them and make sweet potato casserole. But I think I'm going to do the powdered. It's going to take less room. So anyway, right now I've got them in these just regular canning jars with a canning lid. I have a Food Saver vacuum sealer with the can attachment, so I put the can on top of that, sealed it down so that seal is on there, airtight. When you're working with dehydrated foods, you want to keep the air away from them. The longer they sit in the air, they will absorb the humidity from the air. You don't have too much trouble with that here in the Texas Panhandle, because we are semi-desert. But some of you, over in the eastern part of the country, Florida, the deep south, all that, with the humidity, you want to keep your food in an airtight container to avoid it absorbing moisture and possibly molding or spoiling. At the very least, it's not going to stay crispy if you're making like zucchini chips or something like that. So anyway, this is what I got done today. When my food processor comes in on Tuesday, I'll get these shredded, hopefully raw. We'll get a video of that. We'll powder these down. And when I get ready to rehydrate them, I haven't tried this yet, but what I expect is I'll take 1 part powder, 1 part hot water, mix them together and let them sit for a little bit. And that should be pretty good. I may have to add a little more, a little less water to get them the consistency I want for mashed sweet potatoes. But that should do it. The other day, I also found organic russet potatoes on sale. This is, I think, a 5-pound bag. I'm pretty sure it's a 5-pound bag. So I bought 3 of these because my husband is your typical meat and potatoes man. I got these, and I did the same thing to them. I shredded them. I left the peels on these since they're organic. I just gave them a good scrub. With the conventional produce, I go ahead and take the peels off just to help get rid of a few of those extra chemicals that they spray on them. I don't have to worry about that with organic. I just washed them, scrubbed them, shredded them. No problem with the food processor there. And this 5-pound bag of russet potatoes, I'm sorry, it was, 5 pounds because there's still 1 left in the garage. 5 pounds of russet potatoes came down to 8 ounces of hash browns. These I'm going to leave as hash browns. I will, when I finish processing the other 2 bags of potatoes, I'll put these in jars too, just to keep them airtight. And I've already tried reconstituting these. We were just experimenting, so I took a small amount of the dried hash browns, put them in a saucepan with a little bit of water, again, about equal parts. I brought the water to a simmer on the stove and then pulled it off and just put the cover on it and let it sit for, until I remembered it was over there, maybe 5 minutes or whatever. Drained them, fried them up in a little bit of butter for my husband, and he says they taste great, taste just like fresh, so happy guy. I will be updating posts next week when I get that new food processor in. Until then, y'all have a great day. Bye.